Today's Sci-Fi Express Lane, I'm going to talk about hip-hop. Not really. Whoa. I've been talking about hip-hop all Twitter. On Facebook morning. No, I'm not talking about hip-hop. I'm talking about science fiction as an analogy and how useful it is to put it out there. And then also, as a black creator, how important is it for us to use it as analogies too? Science fiction is the human response to scientific changes. Whether even if you speculate about how animals will affect, how changes will affect animals on Earth, and it has nothing to do with they humanize the animals, right? And they say, oh, this is the reaction. So there's some elements to it, and that's really very scarce. But most of science fiction is about the human reaction to scientific things, changes, inventions, creations, anomalies, you name it. So one of these is that I was watching this morning was The Walking Dead. And I watched maybe the first 5 seasons of it. And I think after they didn't kill Negan, I lost interest. But I watched a little bit after that just to see how he would manifest. And it became such a connection for me. I continued to stay a little aware of it, even after I tried the Beyond, the one that just came out with like last year, or year before last. And then I tried the other one with the black guy going off on his own, coming in from a different angle. And I think the universe is really cool, although I don't like walking zombies. It's just that it's really hard to survive in a post-apocalypse running dead. That is very hard. With Walking Dead, you can sort of carve out some things because, you can sort of live. But post-apocalypse World War Z, that's going to be hard as heck. Them zombies climbing walls to get to you. So it's just hard. So you have to run from the running dead. So Walking Dead makes it a lot easier. So anyway, that's the universe. The science fiction part, or the analogy that Walking Dead offers. And I say that because a lot of people, and even I, don't always pick up on the analogies that these science fiction stories are putting out. Now, I'm no conspiracy theorist. I'm clearly aware that the writers create these scenarios and put them out there. Whether the powers that be like them or not, they don't control what the writers think. They can support them, they can limit them, they can be gatekeepers, but ultimately they can even encourage, right? That's manipulating, but they don't create, right? So sometimes I think people as writers even create analogies that they may not even notice that they're creating analogies, right? An analogy to me is, of course, one of the blaring examples is Planet of the Apes. That was a reverse analogy on how humans create differences over stupid stuff. And so that was an analogy. And then in the reboot, they did the analogy. They didn't stay heavy on it, but they, did with animal rights. And that was beautiful. So I don't know where the new Planet Apes got off track, but the Charleston Heston one was a really good analogy. Walking Dead is another analogy, and I like the analogy that it supplies, but I realize there's an element of that analogy that I don't think is existent, and that is the multicultural analogy. In science fiction, they don't always give a multicultural perspective. Usually it's just their one culture's perspective. Like when you watch The Wandering Earth, that is how Asians see themselves as responding, right? when you see to a comet threat, then you see Armageddon. That's how Europeans and Americans see their response to a comet. And even don't look up, they mock those. But rarely do you see like what Independence Day tried to do is a variety of different cultural opinions and responses. So like in Independence Day, stupidly, they showed Africans throwing spears. They showed the Americans using Morse code. They showed the Russians doing something else. So it sort of played out. It sort of played out a little bit, but rarely do you see that. So in like The Walking Dead, they have a what do you call it? Analogy of different types of governmental formations in the post-apocalypse. And I'm looking at them, and you can't just get it in one season. So the overall, the seasons have been overly liberal, flower children, or overly totalitarian, and some type of futuristic dictatorship, with the governor, with Negan, all these different types of governments. And then I'm saying to myself, like, I just watched Talking Dead, which is a beautifully useful show. If you're a fan of Walking Dead, and even if you're not, I don't know if you can follow along with it so tough, but it still offers to me something to people who don't even watch the show. But they have going through all of these different analogies, scenarios. What if it's a woman? What if it's a man? How would she have to behave to coordinate and build a community? Would it survive? What wouldn't it have? What would it focus on? What would be their weaknesses? What would be their strengths? What would be their downfall? All those are explored in The Walking Dead. And if you watch the after show, The Talking Dead, you see all of these different scenarios played out. And for me, I think Talking Dead helped me to pick up on it a little bit more. And they really talked about it. They didn't really say, oh, this is the analogy of such and such, but they did talk about the different analogies, not as analogies, but they would say, okay, what do you think Maggie's going to do? It'd be interesting to see these two female leaders, these two female organizers of people come together. How would they butt heads, right? When Rick ran into the governor, when Rick ran into Negan, it was interesting to see how they clash, right? So, but for me, what is the same common denominator, right? They're all European. They're all white. And I think that the minister, the one that had the lions, he was a black leader, but he had a multicultural group. And I know, and we know, that there's pockets in America, because America is a diverse community. There's got to be some Native Americans that survive, or why not? There's communities. Every city damn near got a Chinatown, right? We got Amish, we got German pockets, and every city got a black side of town. And you would tell me ain't nowhere in this post-apocalypse a black side of town survived, or a Chinatown part of town survived? Come on, that to me, that's nothing wrong with not being able to speculate it. If you're writing a book, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? You're writing a book, but if you're writing a television show, bring in some, people and speculate about it. And I don't know. I think there's so many Walking Dead comic books that they pretty much are limited to what's in the book. And fine, if that's, this thing is immensely successful, it's a crapshoot to try to think outside the box. and bring something else in there. So I get it that Walking Dead isn't doing it, but as writers of independent publications, independent writers, that's definitely something that we can speculate on. How would our black community survive? I mean, and you don't have to be in the Walking Dead universe. You can create another post-apocalyptic universe. But that's interesting. We always look at black civilization and say, oh, it was the past. Okay, that was the past, but and we didn't really have a what do you call it? A defense system when the Arabs and the Europeans came to West Africa. So that's how we got snatched up into slavery. But would we go down that path again? That's a beautiful thing to speculate. So I think that analogy would be beautiful. How would we come into contact with another black community? Would we all have the same opinions? With the Nation of Islam, right? A community like that survive the post-apocalypse? Would it be a group like Move in Philadelphia that is really culturated? We got black survivalist groups. Would any of them survive? In my book, The Harlem Shake, indirectly, without saying it, I'm doing that, right? But the question is bigger than my series. So that's a question. It'd be really interesting. I never really speculated about the future of Chinatown in America. I don't know many people in that community, but that doesn't stop a writer from doing research, and being able to write a short scene. That's really all a book is, creating a universe for it. So yeah, that's an interesting question, because for me, I tell people every day that black sci-fi is a breath of fresh air to the stale, stagnant mainstream sci-fi, the white-dominated mainstream sci-fi, basically because it's in repeat and regurgitate mode. So Walking Dead is damn near repeating and regurgitating in its own show before they try to go diverse. And by the time they go diverse, the diverse community will be waiting so hard to show itself that it'll end up Wakanda, and it'll be the perfect world in post-apocalyptic Walking Dead. No flaws. There'll be no Negans. There'll be no governors. It'll just work itself all out. And as much as I like having a black person in a story, having them in the magic Negro, flawless expression is tired. Oh my God, and it's irritating. So I like to see us have some flaws. I like to see us be human. I like to see us have some other flaws besides the same flaws that we always have: drugs, gang violence, all that other stuff. So I like to see us have something different. Anyway, it's a nice little short video. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, communicate, hit me on, you can text me, you can email me, or you can make comments in this thread. But yeah, all right, I'm out. Peace.